Hey everybody, it's Howie here with Quantum Possibility. In today's video, I wanted to talk about regret and how to make sure that we are living a life to the fullest so we don't have regrets later on in life. Now, I know it's very common as we continue through our life experience to look back on the past and feel regretful about the way we acted, the choices we made. Why did I stay in that job so long? Why did I focus so much on my career that I missed my kids growing up? Why did I hold a grudge against that person and now they're gone and I can't even tell them I love them anymore? We have these regrets and they can really beat us up. They can really drain our energy. So in this video, I want to share with you a technique that's extremely powerful, but it's very challenging. So I want to be real about that. This is totally going to take you out of your comfort zone. It's going to make you feel things that you probably don't want to feel from a mind level, but the more you can embody this and really sink into these feelings, the more you're going to live a life where you will not have regrets. You'll be living at full capacity. So I wanted to illustrate this by talking about a movie that I think describes this and demonstrates this kind of process really beautifully. And that movie is Clique with Adam Sandler and Kate Beckinsale. And for those of you that haven't seen it, I am going to be sharing that, so spoilers ahead. But essentially, Adam Sandler is married to Kate Beckinsale. They have two young kids, and he's an architect who's trying to get promoted within his firm. So he's working long hours. He's really not paying attention to his kids or his parents or his wife. And he stumbles across this guy who offers him a universal remote where he can essentially fast forward through parts of his life that he doesn't, like arguments, kids screaming, dealing with the parents, dealing with the in-laws type of thing. And he can actually fast forward through it. Long story short, what happens is the remote starts fast forwarding automatically, even when he doesn't click the fast forward button. It's kind of like a predictable remote, like, hey, you don't like when we argue, so let's fast forward through that. Long story short, he ends up missing so much of his life. He ends up getting divorced. His pet dog ends up dying. His dad ends up dying. He misses his kids growing up. He's so obsessed with work. He gets promoted. He gets the big job, but he's super overweight and unhealthy and unhappy. And ultimately, he ends up dying, okay? But the cool part of the story is when he dies, he wakes up as if it were a dream. And he's back to that kind of initial scene where he's with his kids, where they're still young. He's with his wife, and his parents are still alive. And he's so excited to get that opportunity to really spend his entire life with them, to be able to enjoy all of the moments with them. So what the story illustrates is that at that dying moment, he had so many regrets about the way he went through his life because he was chasing success. He was totally projecting into the future. He was never present. He wasn't enjoying all of the colors of being a human being. So this is kind of what I want you guys to do with anything that's really scary to you in terms of a future outcome. I'll give you an example. The dog dying in Clique was a really traumatic moment for Adam Sandler's character. So if you have a pet and the thought of losing them is something that really hurts and is something you do not want to think about at all, if you have the courage and strength, if you could sit with and visualize what it would look like for that loss of the pet, like what would it look like in those last moments of you saying goodbye, right? I mean, that's some heavy stuff, and it takes a lot of courage to sit with this type of pain. And this could go for loved ones. What would it be like if your mom or dad was on their deathbed? And a lot of us have experienced losing relatives. We know what that feels like. That feeling is one of our biggest fears. It's one of the things that we deflect, but it's also what keeps us out of totally loving those people, those pets, whatever it is. So if you can sit with that future moment where, let's go back to the dog example, dog's ready to go, ready to transition, and you're sitting there and you're saying your goodbyes, how much you love them, sit with that feeling. Because what's happening is our consciousness can project into that timeline. And in that moment, you can envision yourself thinking, wow, I really wish I had more time with my pet Leah, my dog Leah. I really wish I had more time. Visualize this in that moment, because guess what? When you get out of this visualization, boom, you're back in your present reality with that pet, speaking of right here, with that pet, with the opportunity to love her to the fullest, because you contemplated her perishing and not existing in physical form. So when you do this, like with people you're holding grudges against or people you're holding resentment towards, and you can actually contemplate them not being in your life anymore, all of that petty stuff goes away. And you just want to go and give them a big hug because you got the opportunity to live with them again, to see them again, to enjoy the present moment with them again. And again, this is hard. This is tough stuff. This is really advanced work. And take it slow. You don't need to dive head first, but I do invite you to not run away from these circumstances that scare the living heck out of us. Don't run away from them. Embrace them. Sit with them. Because what happens if we think about this, think of the x-axis here as like neutrality, and below that we have grief and pain and loss, which is really stretching down the rubber band. That's a deep emotion that really hurts. Well, when we feel down there, we have a reciprocating contrast above the x-axis of love and gratitude and appreciation, especially for the person or thing that we're going down there with. So when we can experience the grief and the pain and the loss proactively before it happens, we're then given the opportunity to live in love and not have any regrets about the way we treat those people. So try this out. This is really amazing. Again, take it slow because it can be painful. Tears will come up, when you really put yourself there. It hurts. But that hurting and you allowing that energy to integrate is going to totally change the way you interact with that person or that pet or whatever it is. I mean, when I first did this, I just couldn't give my dog a big enough hug. I love you so much. You can do this with your parents, your family, your spouse, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever it is. Do this. This is really powerful, and you will not regret not showing that person or that pet or whatever it is enough love when you buy into something like this. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think about it in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next video. Thanks.